Friends, we all know that some big and unprecedented events might be coming very soon. The problem is we probably won't see it coming. One morning you'll wake up and the world will be a much different place. Don't panic, prepare. If you can, start growing your own food, but also think about investing in emergency food now. A wise man once said it's better to have it and not need it than need it and not have it. Survival experts recommend to have a 3-month emergency food kit at home at all times. Order yours today by going to our website preparewithinspired.com. You'll save 25% on 3-month emergency food kits and the shipping is free. Go to preparewithinspired.com. That's preparewithinspired.com. Federal Continuity Directive 1. That was before he was inaugurated. And then let's talk about this and then Inauguration Day and the very, very unique, never before seen symbolics of this inauguration with the military behind him. It's never before been done. So can you talk about these two events?
So, yeah, that's where when people always ask, and I can tell if they're reading or not, because they'll say, well, where does it say this? And I'm like, have you read the Federal Continuity Directive 1? So Federal Continuity Directive 1, there was an FCD 1 before it, but now there was FCD-1 before it. Now it's FCD 1. But Federal Continuity Directive 1, January 17th, in bullet point 3 of it, it tells you specifically this book or issue, whatever you want to look at it as, whatever you want to title it, this issue supersedes everything before it. So that's how you know to start with that one. It says, it's basically telling you everything before it is null and void now. This is the one you start with. And it talks about devolution and reconstitution. Those are 2 chapters in FCD 1. So that's 3 days before Donald John Trump raised his right hand and took the oath. Here's his Federal Continuity Directive coming out. Well, a Federal Continuity Directive shows that all 3 branches of government that obviously operate our land, they're in a continuity of government, which is now called a Continuity of Operations Plan. They don't call it a COG anymore, which is an old business term, but now it's a Continuity of Operations Plan, what they call a COOP. All right. So, I think that's another thing that happened for people who do follow your channel that are on Telegram and stuff. They heard all these people say, oh, they're throwing a coup. They're throwing a coup. Yeah, they're throwing a coup. All right. It's a coup. A Continuity of Operations Plan. It sounds the same, but that shows where a president, it's called a PPD-40, a Presidential Policy Directive. There's a Presidential Policy Directive that would guide on the presidential side these 3 branches of government to perform their national essential functions, which are defined in that. And there's also a brochure out there that shows these in bullet point style, what comes first, what's important for them to handle all the way down. So it's a Presidential Policy Directive with the 3 branches of government performing their national essential functions during before, during, or after a catastrophic event. And so when you fast forward, obviously we'll probably get there, but the catastrophic event would have been President Trump declaring war, a national war, which is what he did. He didn't declare an international war. He declared a national war with the War Powers Resolution Act. That is absolutely for fact. But that Federal Continuity Directive 1 is the first one. It's called the outline. Its operational dates in the Federal Register are 2018 to 2022. Then there's a second one that came out June 13, 2017. It's the implementation phase starting. This is your outline showing what's going to take place. This is the second one, the implementation. Those dates are the only 2 that are registered in the Federal Register. There's been issues under these 2. Those are your canopies. But this one's the first one, 2018, 2022. This one's 2020 to 2024. So you see the overlap there. And so they show how all 3 branches of government are going through a reconstitution and a devolution. Well, and then the January 20th, the raising the right hand, the major optic was when he said, we are going to take the power from DC and give it back to you, the people. Well, this military guys were standing right behind him, and they had a headband on like our hats do. And one was military intelligence. The other was judge advocate generals. Well, who gathers the evidence for the military intelligence? Who judges what's going on in the military, whether it be good, bad, or indifferent, whatever it is? You go to a military tribunal, judge advocate generals do. And that's where the Military Justice Act comes into play again. That's that 4th little nugget in there. It's not as important, but it still is important. But that 4th little nugget it put the sole decision back in the hands of judge advocate generals. So how in the heck did we get in a place in history where a judge, what by the definition, a judge, which is a general, advocate general, how did we get to where commanders had say-so in a trial? So that fourth little nugget put the sole decision back into, when that judge makes a decision, it's final.
Okay. So that means this was not just symbolic. This was a clear sign, because you don't just call up randomly these people from military intelligence and these judges and say, hey, come on, for like 15 seconds, you're going to stand behind me. This is... You deserve the truth, but big tech does not want you to hear it. So we built our own Inspired platform on theinspiredchannel.com. To watch the full video and more, just click the link in the video description or the pinned comment.